Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
I'd like to make very welcome organiser of the Arts Trail, Rosie Salas. Good morning and welcome to you.
Morning, John.
Lovely to talk to you. The great news is we've got a great forecast for the weekend.
That is really great news. I'm very relieved about that.
I bet you are. I bet you are, because there's so much work involved in this, isn't there, Rosie?
There is a lot of work. We've been working for maybe a good 6 months of intense activity, and before then, lots of planning. So it's kind of a year-round lead up. We start planning the next one from the previous one.
Indeed, indeed. And of course, I mentioned the first edition, so it's tomorrow and Sunday, and then next weekend as well.
That's right. Yeah, from 10 till 5, the studios and hubs and galleries will be open at 10 o'clock, opening their doors for all of the visitors. So I hope people stream in at 10 o'clock, but they will be open till 5 on each day.
Indeed, indeed. And it's a lovely occasion. People really look forward to this. How many people, in terms of the exhibitors, the artists, etc., how many people are involved this year?
Well, in our guide, we have over 100 listings. What that means is that we have maybe 80 to 90 sites and then individual artists. But with the galleries and the hubs, you have more artists who aren't necessarily listed in the guide, but at a good estimate, I think we have probably about 150 Kapiti artists represented on the trail.
Wow.
Maybe more.
And what a wonderful thing it is. As I mentioned, we've been having a chat to some of these people. And you just have to admire the creativity and the productivity, because these, in essence, they're all small businesses, aren't they? And they're doing something which can be branded as Kapiti, that is individual, that is something that, says something about us. And I think that's something that's almost beyond price.
Absolutely, I totally agree. I'm relatively new to the area, and I'm still getting over how much creativity there is in this region, because we know that there's many people on the Arts Trail and represented on the Arts Trail, but there are also many, many artists out there. And we know that artists actually come to Kapiti because it's a lovely place and they draw inspiration from the physical environment. I mean, we've got fantastic bush, we've got fantastic beaches and parks, and the lifestyle, and it's just become such a really intense concentration of art and artists here, and it's fabulous.
And it makes us feel good about being here. That's the thing that I love about it. And it's a lovely day out, or possibly 2 or 3 or 4 days out. I know people who really go out. And I mean, I just mentioned the business side of things. I imagine this is really good for the cafes around the district and for the other small enterprises as well.
Yes, I mean, it always has been, and this year we've really tried to make that obvious for visitors, and we've drawn on the support of quite a number of our local hospitality outlets, and some of them are offering what they're calling Arts Trail discounts or deals, so keep your eyes out for that. We're mainly publicising that on social media, but have a look. If you go into a cafe, just ask, are you doing an Arts Trail deal? And even if they're not, they might on the day. So, you're quite right. I was just going back to your point about the businesses. This is an important occasion for a lot of our artists who work very hard during the year towards the Arts Trail as one of their major points of interacting with their public, and they put out a lot of their artwork on the day, and it's a really important way, an important thing to think that artists do also have to make a living.
That's right.
This is their opportunity to show the many, many, many hours of work that go into each of their artworks. And there's some fabulously intricate things that people have worked on for a long, long time.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And I've been hearing from some of these people, Rosie, who've told me that the Arts Trail is the difference between them being viable and not. And that's a justification in itself, isn't it?
Yes, and one of the other things that we've been working for this year is to get real recognition outside of the district, trying to make the Arts Trail itself as an event and Kapiti as a district a real destination for people coming to the district. And we know we've got interest from quite far beyond. I just heard today that somebody's coming from Australia, especially for the Arts Trail. Last year we had people from Malaysia. It's getting quite well known, not just nationally, but internationally.
Wonderful.
We hope that continues.
The great thing, I think, is that you can wander into a gallery and have a chat to the people, get to know them, they get to know you, and you never know. There could be something very special in terms of something created especially for you, frankly. It can be an individual thing, and that is, once again, that's almost beyond price, isn't it?
That is the thing about this Arts Trail. It's when artists open their studios and you have that opportunity to meet the person behind the art. It's not just a beautiful artwork, it's got a story. And I do encourage anybody who's going into a studio to ask about that story. And sometimes the story that the artist tells is very different from the story that you have when you see a piece of art and you respond to it. And as you say, you might wander in and you see a nice piece of art and you talk to the artist and you find out the story and you say, actually, I need that piece of art. And I think that's the key to the success of the Arts Trail. Yes. I was just going to say about the studios, we have many artists opening their studios, and a lot of those studios are in their own home, so you see the artists in their own creative environment. But you also have in galleries and hubs, and particularly in the hubs, we've asked this year that artists recreate their studio environment, that sense of being in their working environment in the hubs. They're not just a marketplace, so you should be able to see artists actually doing some of their art at certain times during the weekend, and that draws the visitor into that world. And I have to say also this year I feel that we've got a huge range. We always have a wide range, but it's a really, really exciting range of artists this year. We've got some very... I keep on using the word exciting, but it is exciting about the new and emerging talent that we've got, as well as some of the beautiful work of people who've been in the art as an artist for very many years. So there's something for everybody.
There sure is.
Maybe you don't like what you see, but you can appreciate it, but it's all very interesting.
And great variety as well. We had a chat to a gentleman at Paikakariki the other day who's an art printer. And, that's something that you may not immediately think of at an arts trail, but we had several people say, I didn't think about that. I'm going to pop in and see him. That is fascinating. Yes. So we're beginning to shine the light on some corners that have been too dark for too long. So I think that's a great thing. Now, it's also a wonderful time to get out and enjoy the area. It's a great excuse to go and explore, isn't it, this time of year?
Yes, I mean, Kapiti is looking beautiful at the moment with blossom. We have held our fingers crossed for quite a number of months to hopefully have the weather gods shine on us, and they seem to be doing that this weekend. And it's just looking like Kapiti in all its glory. And so, if you take time out from the trail to go and do a little walk in the forest or down on the beach, you'll have a wonderful time. And as we said before, there's many cafe outlets that are well worth popping into. The other thing that I want to say is tomorrow, keep your eyes peeled on the road, because Guru, our mayor, and the mayoress Claire and his entourage will be on the road in a beautiful, I think it's a 1950s Pontiac. It's a large car. You won't be able to miss it, but it's a very beautiful car from Southwoods that they've lent us for the day. So you might be lucky to see it.
He'll have a very wide smile on his face, no doubt about that.
He will.
It's all about enjoyment, isn't it? You mentioned the brochure before, Rosie, and I must say that my copy is well worn now. It's got many leaves, many dog ears on it, so there's the printed version, but then I discovered, to my delight, it's also available online as well.
That's right. So there's many ways that you can actually find your way around, and we do advise people to have a look before they go and plan a little bit. So we have this printed guide which is available at libraries and quite a lot of the cafes, and if you happen to be further afield, they'll be in libraries and eyesights in your region. And online, we've got not only information on the website, but each artist has an individual page that you can find out more about. And we have an interactive map, which you can have on your phone and follow as well. And it has a GPS location on there. Oh. And also on Facebook and Instagram, there's quite a lot of information if you do social media. And also, of course, as you go around, look out for the signs and the flags outside the venues. And you might have missed one in your brochure and you are passing and you see a flag, pop in.
Yes, and if you're very lucky at some of those venues, there may be a copy of the printed brochure. May or may not.
Yes, no, the artists and studios, the studios and hubs and galleries should all have copies if you forget yours. One thing I'll also point out, in the middle of the brochure, in the printed one, there's a coupon, and you can quickly fill out that coupon with your name and where you've come from, and maybe some other information as well. Pull it out of the brochure and drop it into one of the collection boxes on the trail, and that's the way, firstly, that we might get to know how many people come on the trail. Sure. But secondly, it gives us it gives the visitor the opportunity to go into a draw for an artwork, a prize of $200 towards an artwork of their choice. And it also, if they do fill in their contact details, we might come back to them and ask them some questions, or we might let them know of more news about Arts Trails in the future.
Wonderful. Rosie, thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful. The forecast, as you say, the weather gods are smiling on us, and perhaps we can have another natter next week, do a bit of a post-mortem on this weekend and set up the scene for next weekend, the second edition of the Kapiti Arts Trail.
That'd be lovely, and I hope everybody who hears this has the opportunity to go to a few places and have a wonderful arts trail.
That's what it's all about. Rosie, thank you to you and the team for making this possible. Much appreciated.
Thank you so much.
All the best. There we are, Rosie.
106.3 Beach FM.